What we're going to do today is we are going to learn how to graph these quadratics by hand. We were doing them with the calculator yesterday and last week, but we're going to be able to do them by hand. Now, you've already graphed quadratics by hand using the vertex form, but now we're going to use the standard form. And to use standard form to graph, we need to kind of figure out a few properties of this equation, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Just like in vertex form, if your a value, the number in front of x squared, if your a value is positive, the parabola will open upward. Whereas if the a value is negative, it's going to open downward. Your axis of symmetry. Your axis of symmetry is also what value in your vertex?
X.
Exactly, Tom. Good. So our axis of symmetry and our x value of the vertex are the same. And the way you find the x value is with this expression, the opposite of b over 2a. The opposite of b over 2a. Well, what are b and a? They are the coefficients that come from ax squared plus bx plus c. So the main thing here when you're graphing from standard form is to recognize, hey, to find my vertex, to find the x value, I need to use the opposite of b over 2a. Once you get that value, you plug it back into the function to find the y value of your vertex. And that's why it says right here, the y value is f of opposite of b over 2a. Because the y value is whatever you get for the x value plugged back into that function. And then the y-intercept, so where it crosses the y-axis, that is your c value. That's your constant value on the end of this equation. The plus c, that doesn't have any variables associated with it, that is your y-intercept. So you can see there in the two graphs, they're just showing you a greater than 0 opening up, a less than 0 opening downward. For right now, we are going to skip. Hold on one second, this is frozen here. All right, like I was saying, now that Apple TV works again, we're going to skip this slide of here's why it works for right now since we kind of got a little bit behind with the GoodNotes issues and everything. So we're going to skip this for right now. We might come back to it. But we're just going to go ahead and get started graphing right away. So here we're going to be talked through step by step how we're going to graph using standard form. So the first step that they're asking you to do is to identify a, b, and c. A, b, and c are just the coefficients, the numbers in front of the x squared, the x value, and then the constant term, the number by itself at the end. So a would be what? Zach? 1. Somebody tell me what b would be. Right, b is 2. And what is c, my friends? Right, c is 3. Now, in order to find the axis of symmetry, I need to use those b and c values. The axis of symmetry is x equals the opposite of b. That would be negative of b over 2a. A is 1. Negative 2 over 2 equals negative 1. So you can jot in a dotted line indicating your axis of symmetry at negative 1. Now we already discussed that our axis of symmetry is also the x value in the vertex. So step 3 is telling us the x-coordinate of the vertex is negative 1. Now we need to find the y value. So in order to find the y value, what we do is we just use this quadratic, y equals x squared plus 2x plus 3, and we fill in the x. Y equals x squared. So that means negative 1 squared plus 2x plus 2 times negative 1 plus 3. So you just put the x value back into that function. That gives us 1 minus 2 plus 3. Make sure you follow order of operation here. Don't do something crazy like adding the 2 and the 3 first, because we need to work from left to right when we're adding and subtracting. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So that's the y-coordinate of our vertex. Our vertex is negative 1, 2. And you can plot that just like that bubble shows you. It's plotted where step 3 is. Now, in order to draw the u, we need 2 more points. So what we're going to do, instead of using a table like we did in vertex form, what we can do here is we can use the y-intercept, because your c value is your y-intercept. C equals 3. That means I'm going to go to 0, 3. Plot the y-intercept. I'm going to make a reflection of it on the left-hand side. So now I have 3 points, and I can sketch in the u.
So, since C is 3, it's always 0, 3, and if it's like 4, it would be 0, 4.
Yep, it's always the y-intercept.
And then you just reflect over the axis of symmetry.
Yes. Yeah, it's not too bad. Let's try another one. What's the graph of negative 2x squared plus 2x minus 5? So start out by identifying your a, b, and c. Someone volunteer to give me a, b, and c. Jake.
Negative 2, 2, and negative 5.
Good. And just like Jake did, make sure you're taking the sign in front of the number. So that's not just 5 as your c value, it is negative 5. Next thing we need to do is we need to find the axis of symmetry, because that gets us on our way to finding the vertex. Find the x value. So x equals the opposite of b over 2a. Which would be negative 2 over 2 times negative 2. And that simplifies to 1/2. So your x value is 1/2. Meaning you would have an axis of symmetry at 1/2. Now we need to find the x value. Now we need to find the y value. So what we need to do is we need to plug that x back in to this equation. Y equals negative 2 times 1/2 squared plus 2 times 1/2 minus 5. You can do this by hand, or you can use a calculator. If you're using a calculator, make sure that you have parentheses where we have parentheses here, so the calculator knows what you're multiplying, what you're squaring, what you're dividing. If you're doing it by hand, make sure you're following the order of operations. You will be able to use a calculator on the test if you so please. Zach? Negative what?
3.5.
I thought you said negative 300. Okay, let's see why. That is negative 2 at the very beginning. You don't need to be plotting it. You just want to go into the regular calculator.
Oh, okay.
So just type it in here. And once you get your y value, then you have a complete vertex. You want to
I got that right.
just type it in here, because you're just finding the y value. You're just finding a number.
Do I hit y equals or no?
No, you just type it right in here.
Oh, I
Use it
see.
just like a regular calculator.
So the negative sign would go outside of the parentheses, right? For like negative and 1/2.
For where?
Negative 1/2. Like, you know how it says negative 1/2 plus 1 minus 5?
Yes, 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 yes. I see what you're saying now. 1/2, negative 4.5.
Negative 5.
Let me see what you did.
I'm confused. 1, 3, negative 2. Plus 1,
You forgot to square the 1/2. Yeah, because that's an x squared value. That's fine. Okay, where do I put another point at? I got my vertex, but now I need to use my c value for something. C is negative 5. Where do I plot a negative 5 at? If you need to, look on the slide before. It'll tell you what your c value stands for. Caleb?
You have to go up that many?
Not necessarily. Jake? Yeah, it's going to be on the y-axis, 0, negative 5. So it's always on the y-axis, wherever your c value is. And then reflect it to the other side and sketch the parabola. It's always a good check to see, okay, my parabola just told me to graph it facing downward. Double check with your equation. Is that a negative a value? Yes, in fact it is. So it should be facing downward. And let's try one more together before I let you guys do this on your own. Y equals x squared minus 2x plus 4. First, identify a, b, and c. Zach?
1, negative 2.
Good. Then you want to find the x-coordinate, the axis of symmetry, and the x value of your vertex. X equals the opposite of b over 2a. Always, that is going to be your expression to find the x. X equals the opposite of b over 2a. The opposite of negative 2 would be positive 2 over 2 times a, which is 1. Two over 2 gives you that x is 1. So I know that there is an axis, my axis of symmetry is at x equals 1. Now I need to find the y-coordinate of my vertex. So what I do is I take the x and I plug it back in. Y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 4. One minus 2 plus 4. You get that y is 3. So 1, 3 is your vertex. And then I need another point. I have the vertex. Where am I going to find another point to plot on here? Go ahead, Zach.
0, 4 from C.
Very good. C value's 4. Go to that C value of 4 on the y-axis. Plot it as the y-intercept. Make its symmetric point on the right side of the axis of symmetry. And that's the parabola.